Welcome to the Marketing and Branding Workshop. My name is Belal Khan, marketing by profession, media by passion. If you're watching this is with the assumption that you have already gone through the Marketing 101 and what is marketing presentation. If you haven't done so, I would say pause this video and go ahead and watch that now. It should pop up either in a like a pop-up thing on YouTube, or it'll be in a link in the description below. Now, assuming that you have watched the presentation, now let's go on and move forward. This is the first of 4 videos that I want you to kind of go through and do the exercises, do the workshops that are presented here. These are fundamental concepts. First, we're going to go over understanding gravity and social media. Then we're going to go into understanding consumer psychology, polarization, and trends. We're going to follow that up with helping you find your brand focus, kind of like a workshop. And then we're going to go into the social marketing platform content model that you need to be cognizant and aware of, that would allow you to be effective in the marketing and branding for your project or business. Having said that, let's get started with the first of 4 presentations. This is all about understanding gravity. Now, what does gravity have to do with marketing and business? Well, fundamentally, gravity is all about pull, right? It's about a moral and physical influence within time and space. So, and the best way to demonstrate what I mean here is this particular presentation. So what you're watching here is a model, right? Our model of the solar system that we've been taught in elementary school and public school and all that is in fact incorrect, right? Not to say that it's wrong, it's just a simplified version of what's really happening. Thing is, we've always shown planets rotating around the sun, when in reality the sun is in constant motion rotating around the galaxy. And because of its rotation, it forms this spiral as it traverses through the galactic plane. And the planets that revolve around the sun are in fact following the sun. And because of this helical model, as they call it, it formulates this particular thing. So the point here is that gravity is about leadership. Everyone, everything is following someone or something. So the real question though is, then let's be clear on what is leadership not. So leadership is not, one, it's not management. It's not entrepreneurship. It's not pioneering, right? It's not a title or position. Now, granted, you can have a title and position. You can be an entrepreneur. You can be innovative and coming up with new things, but that doesn't necessarily qualify you as a leader, right? Leadership rises and falls not on knowledge, not on righteousness, but ultimately influence. Now, how do you define influence? This graphic sums it up. Birds of a feather flock together, essentially. Like-minded people will come towards each other, and the most influential amongst them will come out to be the one who leads the pack. Now, there's a number of factors that go into helping a leader grow in influence, but ultimately the base of leadership, the base of gravity, the base of developing a following is influence. Now, influence comes down to, one, who knows you? Who knows what you've done? And who knows what you're capable of and can do? That's what it comes down to. Now, I want to look at a case study of this gentleman, right? Mr. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. The case study is about how this individual goes from an area that he has kind of established himself, WWF, wrestling, which is essentially a form of stage play. But then how does he end up going from this to the superstar that he is now? Well, the first thing that he did was he wanted to go into movies, right? And so the first movie that he did was, I think it was The Rundown, and then The Scorpion King, and then ultimately he ended up leading the Fast and Furious franchises. But then, now keep in mind, when he was in wrestling, right, his stage presence, his charisma, and all that kind of led him to rise in that space, right? Because ultimately it was about putting butts into seats. It was about viewership and who could have the charisma, have the inspiration to bring people to a particular venue. He could do that. That idea is not much different from big budget box office movies. It's the same idea, but instead of a live stage play, it is now a pre-recorded narrative film. And so, but with each project that he gained or that he participated in, and the more people of influence within that space he collaborated with, the more his influence grew. But then it became a question of like, all right, so what if you want to do the same thing again on a different platform? Thus, you went from live stage to recorded theater to now social media, i.e. in this case, YouTube. And so, in fact, the first year that he was on the platform, he made it a point to literally be collaborating with all of the top entertainment YouTubers on the platform. And what that did was that essentially skyrocketed his following in the area, and that allowed him to continue. In fact, his whole campaign was the Rock the Promo. It was literally every video he was doing was a collaboration with a top YouTuber, and all of these YouTubers were very much happy to be collaborating with The Rock. And so now here's the thing. For the project or business that you're engaged in, right, you don't need to be a celebrity or have 10,000 fans. You just need to connect with the right people, right? In the space that you're operating in, who can you collaborate with? Who can you partner with? And this is where the workshop element comes into play, which is the conclusion or the last part of this particular portion of the video. Who are your top 3 influencers within the space that you're operating in? They don't necessarily have to be doing the same exact thing. I'm going to give you a simple example of this within the case of Islamic education. For example, adult Islamic education in the United States, you have Al-Maghrib Institute, right? Now, Al-Maghrib Institute, their whole focus for the longest time had been weekend seminars. Now, there was another institution, this is back in maybe 10 years ago, another institution that was teaching Arabic. Okay, and they wanted to kind of grow their influence, and the Maghrib Institute wanted to grow their reach and their value proposition. And so they collaborated and partnered with, for at least for a short time, where Al-Maghrib would do the Islamic education and Islamic sciences, and this other institution would do the Arabic, and that was their collaborative thing. Later on, when it comes to like large events for communities, when it came to fundraising, Al-Maghrib Institute, they would partner with, say, Islamic Relief. Now, Islamic Relief brings their own strengths. It brings their own influence. But when you have 2 of these coming together to put on an event, it makes it a lot more attractive, so to speak, for people to want to come and attend and be in participation. So it's just a matter of, even on a smaller scale, if you're creating content, you're trying to get awareness and build out your attention, it's a question of who are the people with attention in your space, and try to scale down from there. Try to come down and see who is closer to you in the space that you're operating in, whether it be on level of influence, because then if you're going to collaborate with folks, it's easier to connect with somebody who's only a little bit more influential as opposed to a lot more influential. So that's it for this particular piece. Let me know if you have any questions. Make a note. You can even leave it in the comments below here. But if you're watching this, then most likely we're also having a live presentation. So you can also save your questions for there too. Having said that, go ahead on to the next video. You should be able to see it right here somewhere. And then we can go forward. I'll see you soon.